Hello my friends, let's go straight to the front lines review, and we have the latest tactical map update. So it shows us the situation from the different perspectives. For example, if we zoom out from this scale, you can see that we have the difficult situation around Bakhmut obviously, but also Russia at south near to Crimea and towards Nevsky over here. But Russia nowadays has much less attacks compared to what it was before around 3 weeks ago. By that time they assaulted from Lysychansk, from this direction, and also their main target is Slavyansk, so from Bakhmut they were going to that particular city, but they don't have enough forces actually even to get close to it, and Bakhmut as the city drags them back. So still it's the major hotspot, and today we're gonna talk more about this particular point. In the Bakhmut area, Russia has lots of the vectors of their attacks, for example this one, and on the north as well, so they're trying to encircle the city from this side, but still they need to go further to the Chasiv Yar and also from the south, and they cannot do it. It is not possible to encircle the Bakhmut city from this side because we have lots of the forces in Chasiv Yar and they can encircle the Wagner forces in that case. Also fighting for two sides without the proper cover, because this area, you may say, there's the Ivanovsky village, the Hromova is very small village, so basically it's just the open area where they can be under artillery fire. Well, they are under the fire in the Bakhmut city and around, but still there is no way to hide. Also, what you can see from this perspective, that Ukraine moved forces from Chasiv Yar mostly to the Bakhmut area over here, and they resist against the constant Russian attacks. And today the bad news that Russia got more territories, but the good news that they are still unable to encircle the city. Also yesterday Ukraine tried to counterattack on the south from the Bakhmut city in Kurdimivka, so it was the vector in this direction and it was successful. We gained some sort of the ground, but not a lot. And it wasn't the massive counterattack, we have just one brigade over there and they also have to defend the territory. You can see there are some defense lines in that region. So maybe Ukrainian command tries to find the weak spots in the Russian defense in this area to penetrate the front lines and go behind the Wagner soldiers also from the south. It is the possible scenario, but with the current forces, it's still unreal. For the successful counterattack, we need more forces, and our guys are very busy in defense. So this is the map of the Bakhmut city. Russia took the part of the factory on the north. The part of the factory is still under Ukrainian control. But today we have the bad news that Russia took this part of the city under their control. And yes, it's not great, but still Ukraine keeps the big part of the city under their control. Mostly our forces left the city center for this part to keep control over the western side of Bakhmut, because it's very important also to keep Hromova under control. If we lose Hromova, we lose Bakhmut. And now I want to show you the recent update on a deep state. You can see that Russia is really in the city center. So it was yesterday and it is today. So they also moved from the south, taking some sort of the ground. For taking more ground, they need to cross the river over here, which is the natural obstacle, and it's not easy to do in the urban environment. So Wagner really pushes the Ukrainian forces out from the city, but we have to get out a little bit, otherwise the risk of encirclement is very high. And for now I don't see the other way rather than to leave the city. Why we don't have enough resources, let's say, to withstand the city or to counterattack? Because the major part of the Ukrainian forces are now getting ready for the massive counterattack on the south. We have already obtained Challengers and Leopards and many other armored vehicles, including Marders and Bradleys. And we have already received the major part of the units that will play a great role in a future counterattack. I'm sure that it will happen because not only Ukraine speaks about the counteroffensive, also our Western allies are speaking about it and they're delivering weaponry to Ukraine. And this is the Russian map of Bakhmut. They're quite optimistic about their achievements in that area. So I would say they are a little bit over here. It's like that. So they've took more ground, as they say on this map. But it's not a big deal. The main thing that they are in lack of resources to encircle our army, and by encircling the army, if they would have been successful, they would destroy the major part of the Ukrainian forces, and in that case they could have prevented the Ukrainian counteroffensive. And Bakhmut could be the last win for the Wagner forces because, according to the British intelligence, the Russian administration and military officials are seeking the way to replace their forces with some sort of the other private military army. The private army unit has been already created by Shoigu, the Russian defense minister, and also by Crimean leader Aksyonov. Plus, Kadyrov has his own private army, but I don't think that they will fight for Bakhmut. Maybe they will go there to film some sort of the videos. So why not the regular Russian army, but the private one? First of all, they may take prisoners into the private army, not to the regular forces. It's forbidden. Now Prigozhin is unable to take those prisoners to Wagner forces, but it doesn't mean that Shoigu might not take the prisoners to his private army. You see, Prigozhin has the cover maybe from Putin himself, but the major part of the Russian elite just hates him. And Prigozhin is not really the part of the Russian officials or elite, he's just a restaurant guy who got, let's say, enough luck to stay with the Putin. So to avoid this pain in the ass, Russian officials decided to get rid of Prigozhin little by little. Plus, Wagner forces are very weak after Soledar compared to what it was before, and in Bakhmut they're totally exhausted. Yes, they take some sort of the ground, but still it's not the achievements that they had before. And yes, private military armies are very nice fields for the corruption. Shoigu may send like 50 tanks and just 5 would arrive, but the money would be paid for 50. And even Russian Z patriots are not believing to their defense minister, and they speak about the corruption inside the Russian army. I would agree that Ukraine also has the corruption, but nowadays it's much lower compared to what it was before, because our Western allies are controlling us, and it's great. Honestly, I'm so tired of Ukrainian corruption that I would be glad to have the external control over our country, as Vladimir Putin says. Just temporary, to provide reforms and institutions to make our society better. But you know, we have what we have. I'm okay with the President Zelensky, but not okay with the current Ukrainian parliament. Okay, it seems like I'm deviating from the topic. Alright, and about Avdiivka, we have no change in the situation out there, so Russia stopped their attacks from the north and have just one vector from the south and also direct to the city, but this vector holds for a long time, and still Russia is unable to penetrate those particular defense lines near to Avdiivka since the beginning of the war. So this attack total collapse and just gives losses for the Russian army. Also for Ukrainian, but in that case Russia loses many more soldiers. And on a tactical map you may find also the information about the Russian defense lines. They put a new one near to Vasilivka. They expect that Ukrainian army might go towards the south to Melitopol. That is why they're going for full defense. And if we look at the map in general, you may see that the attacks are happening in a very restricted areas, which are very narrow compared to what it was before, near to Avdiivka, near to Bakhmut, and near to Crimea over here. The Russian regular army is probably saving their resources to withstand against the Ukrainian counterattack. We have also news, God bless America. They will provide Ukraine with a military package that improves Ukrainian logistics and equipment. Yeah, as usual, we have some of the bullets, rounds and weaponry, but also we have 7 tactical vehicles to recover equipment. It means recover tanks, armor vehicles and other stuff, so engineering trucks or something. Also 8 heavy fuel tankers, and I'm gonna show you the picture later, plus 105 fuel trailers, so the small trailers that are able to deliver the fuel to particular unit. Armor bridging systems, so Ukraine would be able to create the bridges. 4 logistics support vehicles, trucks and trailers to support heavy equipment, communication again, SATCOM terminals, funding for training, maintenance and sustainment. You might say that more Bradleys or maybe Abrams tanks would look better in that list, but I would disagree with you. This is much more important. Logistics wins this war. Well, not only this war, it is for every conflict in the human history. If you cannot refuel the tanks on time or to provide ammunitions on time, you will lose. even with the best tanks in the world. And it was the biggest Russian mistake that they've started this war without the communication lines and support equipment. But our allies are not stupid, and they learned on our enemy's mistakes. And this, I believe, is the last package, the last puzzle that we would need for the successful counterattack. Yes, later this year we'll also receive the equipment, but this is the main one. It will change the situation on the front lines. Russia will start losing the ground very soon, but not little by little. They will lose the vast parts of the occupied territories. And those are M978, the tactical refueling vehicles. And you know, seeing how fast the tanks were delivered to Ukraine, I think that equipment will be delivered to Ukraine very soon. And I don't think that you need to have lots of the training to operate this refueling vehicle. And the aft part looks very similar to the aircraft refueling vehicles. And maybe those also might be used to refuel the tanks, but they are in lack of off-road capability. You see those huge wheels? It can run everywhere. Plus, this refueling track may be upgraded with extra canister that gives almost the same capacity as the track itself. And there is also the option for the very long track, so I'm still wondering which one we'll have. Also, it could be combined, just the standard track and the trailer behind, so you can carry ammunition, infantry, whatever, together with the fuel. I think this variant could be the perfect one, so you deliver ammunition and fuel at one track, refueling and reloading at the same time. And this is the map of the NATO countries. I guess you already spotted the difference. Yes, Finland, congratulations, you are now officially in NATO. Putin have decided to start this war to exclude the NATO expansion, but Finland already joined, which extends the common border between Russia and NATO by 2 times. Sweden, you'll also join very soon. And as for Ukraine, sorry, I cannot draw properly with my mouse. Ouch, it happened accidentally. But anyways, Jens Stoltenberg today said that we have the perspectives also to join NATO, but after the war is over, unfortunately. But no one knows for how long this war will continue. And yeah, it was just a joke. We don't need the territories of Russia, really. We need just to liberate our territory and free our people. We don't care what is happening in Russia, but they influence us. And in a very good scenario, we would like to build a very high fence between Ukraine and Russia to avoid of what is happening right now. You can see on this video Madar, the chief of one of the most important air surveillance units, and they launched the drone over Donetsk, showing the Donbass arena, the home stadium for Shakhtar Donetsk, but they are not playing there any longer because it's the occupied territory. Mostly they play in Lviv arena. And this video just shows that Russia is unable to shut down our drones over there. Maybe they're in lack of the special radar systems that create distortions to interfere the signal for the drone. I don't really know how is it possible. Maybe we somehow were able to defend the systems, the drone systems, and now we can fly everywhere. That would be superb. Anyways, Madar, thank you for the video. There was the interview with ex-United States President Bill Clinton. He says that he regrets that he forced the Ukrainian government to give up the nuclear weaponry. We basically gave it to Russia, and the airplanes that were capable to carry the nukes were mostly destroyed. Well, honestly, as for me, I do not blame America or the UK who say to Ukraine to give up the weaponry. I blame our government that say that, okay, we will give up everything to Russia. There was no referendum about the nukes. They didn't say or ask anything from the people. They just gave out everything. And as for the United States, I may understand it, because the USSR collapsed. It could turn to very unstable region, and where that nuclear weapon will go, it could have been potentially delivered to their enemies. There were lots of the illegal trades with the ex-Soviet weaponry, so definitely our allies were afraid. But Ukrainian government and military officials, as always, they were corrupt, they couldn't control that weaponry, and they decided, okay, it's better to give up everything to Russia and stay safe. We'll sign the memorandum with the United States, UK and Russia, and no one would attack Ukraine. You know, I was 7 years old in 1994, and by that time I couldn't understand anything about the nukes, but few years later I understood that our country might be under some sort of attack, and without the nukes we cannot just defend our country. And finally, it happened as we see, and ex-United States President said that he regrets his decision, but nevertheless our allies are helping Ukraine, not with their army, but with military support. And without that military support, Ukraine would have lost many of their territories compared to what we have right now. And you know, we may say that how it could have been in that case or that case, but we need to concentrate on what we have right now. Now we have the enemy that attacked the sovereign country, and we need to get rid of it. And with the proper help, we may do it. And here I found this video. I'm not sure if it's new, but I'm very surprised that all the Ukrainian T-64 tanks are capable for that kind of off-road. The soil is very wet and dirty over there, but they continue, they run. And I know that the Western-made tanks also have awesome off-road capability, especially Challenger 2 tank. My friends, now press the like to this video, and if you want to support my job, there's some links available in the video description just below. And special thanks for my patrons and the channel members who support me constantly. My friends, you are awesome. I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.